The other one.
So what we're doing
Second option.
is we're just clicking on this.
Yeah, it's good.
Actually, I'm going to go through this one. So what we're going to talk about is starting early. All of the college prep starts in middle school. Literally, it starts in 6th grade. Some kids are even starting in 5th grade. I feel bad because I feel like we're stopping childhood at 12, but that's how it is now, so I'm going to tell you how to do it, and you'll create the balance within your family. That leads to the second part about being healthy and coping with stress, because we want our kids to get the best, and we want them to have the best, but you want to make sure that there's balance. We don't want them to have anxiety and stress that they're falling apart because of the trying to get into the best schools. So yes, we're going to learn what we have to do. We're going to do what we have to do, and we're going to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the end, that whatever is meant for us, that is good for us in this life and the life of the hereafter, inshallah, will be, and we'll be comforted with that, inshallah. Then the next thing I'm going to talk about is the admissions maze. It's like a labyrinth. We're going to talk about the rigorous coursework, the testing aspects, the essays, the resumes, the interviews, the recommendation letters, and relationships that you have to have with certain people, like your counselor or your teachers who are going to write recommendation letters and all of that kind of thing. And lastly, we'll end with scholarships and financial aid. And I brought some handouts, 101 best databases for scholarships, like the top 10 scholarship databases. I have a parent action plan regarding what you should be doing in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. So that way, if you're interested in that, you have that. And then also basically how to create a college plan in 5 simple steps. If you're interested in that, is here. And material from the SAT, AP, ACT, and SAT2s are also up here. So afterwards, you feel free to take what you like, inshallah. So when I'm saying start early, I'll show you why. Oh, it's not showing. Okay, that's fine. I have to do this. Bismillah. I hope you video will work.
Bismillah. There we go.
Bismillah.
Yeah, you're fine. Just click on it.
I clicked like 6 times.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Don't worry, it's not running right now.
Okay, how about if I refresh it and maybe it'll pop up? Because it played last time before.
Bismillah. There we go.
There you go.
There we go. I was trying to not let it lag, but
Announcing Pizza Hut's new Applewood smoked bacon
this is your
and
Just
melty
keep paying
cheese
attention.
stuffed in the crust.
We can't take these away, I'm sorry.
This is not the way. This is not the way to get into
Not the
college.
way to get to
Applewood
college.
smoked bacon and loaded with cheese in one irresistible crust. Just $12.99 only at Pizza Hut. You're making me crazy.
Okay.
As high school seniors get ready to pack up for college, more middle school students are getting ahead of the peers and looking closely at higher ed. At One North Texas Middle School, if you don't start in 7th grade, you're already behind.
Mostly everything is online, so you're going to have your parents with you.
At Common Middle School in Arlington, 7th and 8th graders get a jump start on higher education.
You can spend $1,200 on just textbooks alone.
I have already started looking into camps at colleges.
Jabari Ford and his classmates know thinking about college today is key for tomorrow.
You don't plan how to do a project at the last moment. Why start on something as big as college at the last moment?
If you wait too long and you won't have enough money, you can't always apply for financial aid.
Those are the lessons the kids have learned since the College and Career Center opened in March, a resource not typically available to middle schools. But the principal here felt it was necessary.
I noticed in high school that a lot of the kids, by the time they got to their junior year, had no clue of what to do in terms of looking for college, applying for financial aid.
Here, 13 and 14-year-olds learn about career options, financial aid, resume writing skills, and something as simple as filling out a college application. Details we take for granted and assume teens know.
Well, I didn't know I lived in Tarrant County, or, oh, I can't remember my zip code, or I didn't know what is the social security number, so all of those things.
So this is basically just to show that the rest of the world, they're starting, the rest of the United States, well, maybe the world, they're starting in 7th grade and 6th grade about preparing for college. And right now, even high school level math is being administered in 7th grade and some 6th grade. They're doing algebra and geometry, high school level. So in order to hit calculus by senior year, in order to surpass calculus, so these things have to happen. Because if you don't take algebra 1 in 8th grade, you're not going to be able to take calculus in 12th grade because it's linear, right? It grows. You have to have that to go to the next level. And everyone else who's being competitive is taking calculus or something even more. There's calculus AB and calculus BC that they've broken it up into so that they can be competitive with other students. They're just surpassing so many people from my time. We didn't do all that kind of stuff, but this is the reality now. So that's one of the reasons why you have to pay attention in 7th grade to make sure your child is taking the appropriate math and the appropriate courses so that they can hit the courses that they need to have in order to be competitive in the elite university and scholarship world. Now, in middle school, you can close the academic gaps. If, say, for example, they're not really math inclined, you want to make sure at least they're hitting pre-algebra and algebra in middle school, so that in high school, if they don't want to take pre-calculus and calculus and they're going some other way, that they're going to go into media or journalism or something else, that they have that option. But you close the door in 7th and 8th grade if you don't get that done. So, and you don't want to do that to them when they're that young at that point. So if you can push them for that, that's what you should be if you want to be super competitive. So 6th and 7th grade, what are you supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be exploring your interests. You're supposed to read a lot of books, okay? Books that you like, anything, just read. Read. Again, take pre-algebra, and the reason why you read a lot of books is because it'll increase your vocabulary, it will increase, studies show that reading helps you in so many ways. So when you have to do SAT vocabulary words and these kind of things, if you're reading since 6th grade on, or even before that, there's a lot of, they encourage from kindergarten on to keep reading, but especially don't stop reading when you get to middle school, just continue reading. And then again, we talked about the math. Also, if you're in 7th grade and you're eligible for the SAT Duke Tip program, does anybody know what that is? Duke Tip? Okay, 1. So, 2. ACT Duke Tip program, it is a talent search program that is given in 7th grade for eligible students who have reached a certain eligibility mark on a standardized test. And they are given an actual SAT or ACT that a 12th grader would take in 7th grade. And this is to see, this is a talent search program. So if they're able to score like a 12th grader would, or go beyond what the average 12th grader would, then elite universities will start to recruit them from 7th grade on. They'll start sending out all of these summer programs and trying to just get them to come taste their university, just look at it. So that's one of the reasons why, if your school, all schools offer ACT Duke Tip, but as a parent, you have to be knowledgeable about this stuff so you can advocate for your child. Because no one's going to hand it to you on a silver platter unless you have like a fabulous counselor who is going to make sure everyone gets it. But that's not common, so be the advocate for your child. All right, in 8th grade, again, the pre-algebra, the algebra one, it's very critical because when you do the SATs and ACTs, you're looking at math and English. So you really need to make sure your math skills are strong and your reading skills are strong. Take a language other than English, that's what's recommended. Some states use ACT Explorer, some schools use ACT Explorer, some people, they use PSAT exam. Most Texas schools use PSAT, and that's just a practice SAT exam. Some private schools will start it early, like in 8th grade, 9th grade, but PSAT doesn't count until, anybody know? 10, we have 10? 11. Awesome, it's 11th grade. because 11th grade is your qualifying year for the National Merit Scholarship. And the PSAT is that test that is used for the National Merit Scholarship. And the National Merit Scholarship is it's a huge scholarship. It's like over 250 companies throwing money at you. If you become a finalist, every school will be saying, please come to us, So it is something that is an accomplishment if you're able to get it. It doesn't go to anybody. You have to be in the 99th percentile. So that doesn't mean getting 99 out of 100. That means out of everyone that took it, you scored, say the highest score was 89 and you got an 88, then you're in the 99th percentile and you go into the running to be either a commended scholar, a semifinalist, or a finalist. So it gets cut as you go along. And I know that it's not impossible. I know kids that have done it. I've worked with kids that have done it. It's just you strategically have to do certain things, especially with math and English, because it's going to be testing math and English. And you need to take it a couple of times before it really counts so that you're comfortable with the format. And that way, when you actually take it, you can have a better chance. Also, they have prep programs that are free. After you take your first PSAT, you're going to get a code that will help you create an account that will be specialized for your student, whatever their weaknesses are, whatever their strengths are, and give them practice on that so that they can strengthen their weaknesses and make them strengths. And I tell kids if they want to do 5 minutes a day, 30 minutes or 10 minutes a weekend or something, just do something. Because research shows if you actually use those resources that they give you, the College Board gives you after you take the PSAT, not only your PSAT scores will go up, but they show that the SAT scores will go up because this is the practice, the preliminary part of the actual SAT. Again, it counts in 11th, but you can take it as young as 8th grade depending on your school. If I'm talking too fast or anything, let me know. Just give me All right. Another big thing in middle school, you have to master how to study, how to be organized, how to take notes. This is the time for you to make errors and learn these things, because when high school hits, everything counts and you can't undo anything at all. I mean, it's just, you can't go backwards. So middle school is the time to explore your interests, your clubs, your organizations, all these kind of things, because when high school hits, you have to be more strategic about what you want to do. Positive study habits. Get up to speed on any academic gaps. So there's an article that was out recently, and it said most children, their report cards look great, but when you're asking your teacher, how is my child doing, you're not asking them, you're looking at grades, right? And grades don't necessarily reflect how they're doing. There's a lot of children that have good grades, but academically, according to the standards of where they should be at that age, they're not there. So you need to be looking at the standards. What should my child know at this age? And where is my child according to those standards? And that is going to be a better help than do they have an A in math? Because you get a lot of grades for participation and projects, and those are great things because we want the kids to learn, we want them to be innovative, we want them to take risks, but you also want to make sure on the academic side that you're looking at the right data, that you're not just looking at an A. Okay, so that's something important to pay attention to. So if there are any gaps, research shows that you can close them in middle school. Once you hit high school, it's really hard. So in middle school, gaps can be closed from an academic perspective. And for parents, I know a lot of times we're like a tough love type of thing. And so we want our kids to be the best, and we want to push them as much as we can, but we want to also acknowledge success and acknowledge and effort, celebrate effort, and not exclusively intelligence. There's a researcher, her name is Carol Dweck, and she goes out and she does a lot of research on celebrating effort versus celebrating intelligence, and they give different types of exams that are at different difficulty levels. And so those that celebrate intelligence, they don't take risk. They only know what they can get at 100, they're only gonna do that. And if they fail something, they're not gonna try it something a little harder because they want to make sure they get the grade. Whereas those that celebrate effort, they take risk, they'll try it again and again and again until either they master the concept or they find a different way of looking at it. So also think about celebrating effort and keep the standards high, but don't crush them for messing up. Middle school tips. Become involved in school and encourage basic skills. Encourage extracurricular activities, both in and outside of school, and recognize teachable moments. Self-esteem and positive self-image are important, especially in middle school. A lot of middle school kids, they're like aliens for like 3 years, where they just turn into different people, right? Because they're going through all these changes, and they don't know within themselves where they are and where they're supposed to be. And everybody was there, right? 7th grade was horrible for most people. But by 9th grade, everything smooths out and you're cool. So be there and encourage them, be the boundaries that they need to have, as well as, look at it from a guiding perspective too. And just say, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, a lot. That will keep you down. Okay, so again, coping with stress. Because this is how the society is right now. This is, in order to be competitive, you have to do these things. So as Muslims, we need to have mechanisms to keep us in a healthy place. Otherwise, they break. Encourage time management. Time management is critical, knowing your deadlines. You should be discussing career options. What do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, okay, let's look at what does that take? What do you have to study to get that? Let's go and see maybe somebody who is who is an anesthesiologist or something like that, a biomedical engineer. How many years does it take to get there? So these are things that you should be thinking about.
So do you want to do presentation modes?
Oh, sorry, I could do that, yes. That's a good idea. So they don't see what's coming up. So at home, you can encourage time management, set healthy limits for your children, have a routine when it comes to studying, same place, same desk, same routine. Like after school, I eat, and then I go and do my work, or I work, and then I go take my dinner, whatever your procedure is. Do that. Offer perspective, provide positive reinforcement, give them boundaries, of course. They need them in middle school because they're pushing to see where the boundary is, and that's absolutely normal. So you have to be able to draw the line. But the difficulty is the balance. So inshallah, may Allah make it easy for everyone. And school. You encourage them to take really rigorous courses. Keep in touch with the school rather than waiting for the problem to come to you. Stay in touch with the school and where they're at. You might think that you're an annoying parent, but you're not an annoying parent. You are a parent that cares. You are a parent that's involved. You are a parent that wants to make sure that you're helping your child because your child is your amana. It's no one else. Everyone else is going to look, depending on who they are, you may get lucky and get someone who cares, but it's your responsibility to stay on top of it with them because they're not going to give you information. The kids are not going to give you information. The schools don't tend to give you information until there's a problem. So sometimes, unless you're in a good school district, they might give you information, but you need to be connected as well so you don't miss anything. Use community resources, after-school programs, adult education classes, libraries, athletic programs, religious organizations. Just be involved in your kids' school so that you get everything that's available. And then don't only stay with the school community, go beyond that because you're going to be your child's advocate. And there's a lot out there that is not readily available for most people, so you have to be a researcher. Extracurriculars are really important. In middle school, you're trying everything out because in high school, you need to start committing to a couple of things. So test the waters, see what you like to do, and try to find what you want to be. The one thing that if I could give you any advice, is, when it comes to extracurricular and community service, is be unique. Everybody's on the basketball team. Everybody plays baseball. If you want to stand out in the sea of admissions applications, you need to do something that people don't do. Something that you like, but something that people don't do. So in the South, there's not a lot of fencers that are doing fencing or rowing. These are very northern type of things, right? So if there's something that people don't do and that you like to do, that will help you stand out. You'll be the little sparkle in the sea of all these admissions papers. If you do everything that everybody else does, you lower your probability. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to get in. It's just you're not maximizing your probability in the game. So we're all looking at the whole child, right? The relationship, the community. For us, it's God consciousness and spirituality, health and wellness, beneficial knowledge, and maturity and intelligence. That's the emotional piece. Okay, college prep. Here's the maze. So there's like a lot of things that you have to do. But you can do it. You just have to get a checklist and be like a little OCD. Okay, so just start checking things off. First thing, stay on track with your coursework. This is old coursework, because now if you're in public school, they have career paths and tracks now. I think 3 years ago, I think they were leaving this method, the recommended versus the distinguished, and the minimum graduation plan of what you need to graduate. A lot of private schools still follow this because a lot of universities require these things. So the 4-4-4, the 4 English, the 4 math, the 4 social studies, the 4 sciences. So a lot of private schools do follow this, but public schools are changed to a career path type of thing. So whatever your school provides to graduate, you need to make sure you know the plan, you know how to get it, you're checking off everything to make sure you're getting it done. And also, if you're going to be competing with elite universities, you need to maximize your academic type of coursework. You need to take all the AP courses that you can take. And if they don't have AP, you can take dual credit. And if they don't have dual credit, you can take honors. There's a hierarchy when it comes to rigor, and you get rigor points when it comes to admissions. So you have to think about who you're competing against. And those people are the ones that are taking summer classes, and they're taking extra classes, and they start in middle school with math. And so you have to think they're taking all the AP that they can offer. And if their school doesn't offer AP, they're studying for an AP test on their own, and they're registering for an AP exam. Like, this is what the competition looks like. So, try to maximize that as much as possible. So you have AP, pre-AP, dual credit, honors. These are course type of categories when it comes to rigor. So AP is advanced placement. If you pass the test at the end of the year, you get college credit as well as high school credit, right? Pre-AP, you don't take a test at the end of the year. It's just it's coursework that helps prepare you to be able to do well on the AP course, because it's like preparing you how to handle this college level material in a more secure high school setting. But there's no end of year exam for that. AP, it's college level work. It's very hard, and you have to work really hard. You spend about an hour per AP class of homework a day. So if you're taking 4 AP classes, you're looking at 4 hours of homework a day, plus whatever else you're doing extra. So when you are doing AP, come back to the stress piece. Don't max everything out and fail everything. Okay, so if you want to take as much as you can that you can be successful in, because you don't want to overburden yourself and fail everything, and then you have a bigger problem. So a lot of people, they might start 1 AP class in 10th grade, they'll bump it up to 2 or 3, maybe 2 or 3 in 11th, 3 or 4, and they keep increasing to where they get comfortable, but maybe 1 or 2 in 10th. So that, and the easy AP exams, which are, like the AP World History. I can tell you the hardest exams are AP Biology and AP US History. Those are the 2 hardest exams for kids. But there's AP Human Geography, there is AP World History, there's AP environmental science. These things you can, depending on your kid and what they do well in, they might be able to take one of them. There's AP Art History, so there's AP Languages too, so you can maybe go with the easier ones in the beginning and then increase on the other pieces. AP exams are only given once a year in May, so it's a one-time shot. Also, the PSAT is only given once a year in October. They changed that this year to where they can be given twice a year in October and sometime in March, but the qualifying exam is only given once a year in like the second week of October. So these are things that you need to know these dates, because if you want to try to get your kid into taking that exam that they maybe are not offering to you and you have to go fight for them, you have to know, okay, it's in October, I need to start asking in August and September, what do I need to do to register my kid to get them to take this exam? What do they need to do to prepare for the exam so that they can do well on the exam? So this is why you need to know these things. Does everybody know what AP is? Are you comfortable? Raise your hand if you know what AP is. Okay. Most people know what AP is. So this student is just explaining AP. And due to our technical issues, I'm going to push forward. Okay, SAT, ACT, PSAT, Explorer Plan. Who knows that the SAT changed? Couple. Okay. Okay, so the SAT changed. And what happened, the SAT information is here about what it is broken down to, right? This is the new information. The old information is not being used anymore. They did do a calculator converter. The new exam scores came out 3 days ago, and they found out that they were skewed a little bit on the high end. So the admissions officers are kind of like, what are we gonna do? So be careful. Don't think that your SAT scores, if it says 500, that it is 500, because it's gonna be plus or minus a margin of error because it's skewed a little bit higher. And then until they iron out these issues, admissions officers will adjust. But there are still some people that took the old SAT and the new SAT, so for the next year, they're gonna be looking at both and they're gonna have to do the converter piece. So, is anyone gonna be a senior next year? One, okay. So only for you is this an issue. For everyone else, it'll be ironed out by the time your children go through it. So I could talk to you one-on-one regarding these things. But basically, it's broken up into critical reading and math. Math is going to cover Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, a little bit of statistics. So the reason why you don't traditionally take this exam early on is if you haven't hit Algebra 2, then you're not setting yourself up for success unless you're just math inclined. The probability of you doing really well on it is not as high if you are not just a math type of person. You can take it, but you have to be careful because you don't want them to say, oh, I failed it and I'm gonna be doomed for this horrible school, that kind of thing. So have a balance with it, knowing the material that they need to cover. Critical reading is very heavy in the SAT for the English portion, and then writing, they took it out of the SAT now, it is optional. In the past, it was required. Now it's optional. Now, just because it says it's optional, if you want to be competitive with elite universities, nothing is optional, right? Nothing. If it says optional, it's not optional. If you want to be competitive, right? If you don't care, you're like, whatever, I don't really want to go there, then it doesn't matter. But you need to take the writing exam. There's certain universities that are requiring it. All the California schools are requiring it. So if you're thinking about Stanford or UC Berkeley or whatever, you have to take this. And most of the other universities are also requiring it. So they haven't decided whether or not they're going to kick it out or not. But right now, take it, okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you please speak about this new SAT scoring system? What is fair, what is good, what is that?
Absolutely. So The scale is from 200 to 800 points per section. So you have critical reading and you have math. All right, so if you got perfect score in both sections, you'll have a combination of 1,600. And that is for the critical reading and the math only. Critical reading and math is your money. That's where your scholarships come from. If you focus on critical reading and math and you get high scores on that, that is where your money comes from. Writing, the only people that care about writing is the California schools. They are the only ones that will attach monetary type of reward for it. But all the other schools, they don't. And one of the reasons that they do is it's kind of funny because there was research that was done that showed that the way that you write can be connected to how successful you do in college, because there's a lot of writing in college, right? So they wanted to use it as an admissions factor, but the people that did the study were from California. So that's why all those schools are doing it, but the other schools haven't done it yet. I guess they're still looking at the research. Anyways, it is 200 out of 800. If you want to go to U of H, it's a 500 in each category, approximately. 500, they're increasing their scores every year, but as of last year, it was 510 in math and 510 in critical reading. If you want to go to UT, Texas A&M, these kind of schools, then it is around 600. You need to be in the 600 range. If you want to, 600 to 700. If you want to go to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all of these schools, then you need to be in the 700 range in both categories, right? Doesn't mean if you got a 680 that you can't apply to Harvard. No, you can still apply to Harvard or Penn or wherever you want to go. It's just there's percentages that they break down and how many people who are in this category get in, and the percentages are low. Not impossible, but low. I had a student that got rejected from U of H, but she got into Penn. I was like, can I see the paper? She was like, I got it. I'm like, well, let me get it. I was like, mashallah, let me see that. Amazing, mashallah. I was like, how did that happen? I didn't in my inside. But, so because of that, you don't make the decisions. We are not admissions officers that make the decision. She was an amazing person. She did amazing things in every single other category except that standardized test. I wrote in the recommendation letter that she had test anxiety, so hopefully that helped her. It didn't help her for U of H, but it did help her with Penn. So as long as you have a good person writing a recommendation letter for you, your counselor has to write a recommendation letter, and then there's 2 teachers. And be careful if you're in public school, because they have quotas. So they have quotas where they don't write for everyone. So that's why you need to have those relationships with your counselor and your English teacher and your math teacher, so that you can be of those people that actually get a recommendation letter. So, because those matter, because I've written recommendation letters as a counselor, and there's a box I can check that says, I don't have time to do this because I have too many kids. Check. And I can check that, and I can only write the ones that I want to write, but for me, I write them for all my kids because I don't want to close that door. But that's not happening for most kids, especially in public school, because they have sometimes 500 students in their cohort. And it's not because they don't care, it's just they don't physically have the time, it's not possible. So that's why you need to create those relationships early. So again, those are the average ranges for entry. If you want to get into the elite medical school programs, there's these medical school programs that are popping up all over the country now, where you can be guaranteed medical school upon entry as a freshman in university. So the way that it works is they're normally connected to honors colleges, and there are a lot of conditions, and you have to have really good SAT or SAT scores as well, and there's applications. And normally they only pick 10 people in the world, so it's not like anybody can get in, yeah, for sure. Alhamdulillah, I've had students that have gotten in, but their scores were really, really high. They did everything early. They followed everything that was supposed to be done, and they had a lot of extracurricular. They had a lot of community service. They had created amazing things in their science fair projects. So, they had a really good portfolio. So those, a lot of times, they require a little bit higher scores. And do you guys know about the 7-year medical school programs? No? No? One? Okay. So basically the way it works is you get into the school, they shorten your undergraduate career, your undergraduate time, and they guarantee you entry into the medical school that they are connected to. So Rice University is connected to Baylor Medical School, U of H is connected to, I think, UT Health Medical School, or University of Texas, yeah, their medical school, right? And like Texas A&M is connected to their Texas A&M Medical School. They have them all over the country. So instead of spending forever, they just shorten your undergraduate career. They make it more condensed and concise regarding your major. And then they guarantee you entry into the medical school so long as you pass the MCAT, that whatever score that they require. So, I mean, it's not 1,000% guaranteed, but it's very, if you check off everything that you're supposed to do with them, you don't have to go through the whole like big batching and you don't know where you're gonna go, these kind of things. So it's confirmed and solidified for you. This is one of the SAT math questions. Shall I time you? Who wants to do it? So give me a thumbs up for easy and thumbs down for hard. Oh, some thumbs up in the back. This is one of them. A great thing is Khan Academy has partnered with the College Board, and that means they're providing all these free college prep courses that are aligned to your PSAT scores, that are aligned to your SATs. So when you take your PSATs, they're going to give you an access code, and then you can put that into the Khan Academy account that you have, and it'll give you customized practice to specifically your test. So and it's all for free. The old days, you would have to pay $1,000 to go to Kaplan and do that program, and people are still doing that. But research showed that those that did the Kaplan program, their scores were higher, right? But a lot of the kids who couldn't afford that, that's what Khan Academy started doing to try to cover the kids that couldn't afford that. And they actually created a partnership with the College Board because the College Board wants access for all. And so use that to your advantage because you have free help. And they actually have SAT practices that you can do on Khan Academy, and they'll give you the answers as well. Another cool thing they have is you can do the test. They have an app, and you can take a picture and it'll score it for you. So it's just like amazing technology that they have now. So take advantage of it all. SAT 2. Who thinks you have to take the SAT 2? What is the SAT 2? Anybody? No. SAT 2 is different from the SAT 1. SAT 2 is a subject test. If you are going to elite universities or you want to try to get to elite universities, most elite universities require 2 SAT 2 subject tests. That is an exam that is exclusively one subject. So for example, if you're taking the AP biology exam, then sign up for the SAT 2 bio because you're studying for something that is harder than the SAT 2 bio, because SAT 2 is just testing your high school level knowledge of the material. It's on the same scoring range from the 200 to 800, but it's testing high school level knowledge. So if you're studying for college level knowledge for an AP exam, it is important that you take the SAT 2 so you don't have to study twice, and you're studying for something harder, so you have probability of being more successful at it. What SAT 2 do you take? Every school has certain different types of characteristics when it comes to this. For example, if you want to be an engineer, they're most likely going to require a math. If you want to be a doctor or some kind of medical field, then they're going to require biology, and the second one can be your choice. If you're going to the liberal arts, they're going to require more of the English-based. I just say, if you're taking an AP exam, just take the SAT 2 in it, and that way you just rule out and you have enough in your bank. But you want to take something that you're successful in, so make sure you study and do well on it, inshallah. And again, it's only for competitive universities that require it. Also, if you're applying to any universities overseas, a lot of universities overseas may require it. I've helped some kids get into some, I think, Aga Khan medical school program, Pakistan somewhere. I think this is a program that people want to go to. There's also some kids that go to the UK or go to like NYU Abu Dhabi or Texas A&M in Qatar or these kind of schools. They may require these kind of things. This is maybe they wanted to do Islamic studies as well as an American university degree, so they like to go into that world. So if that's something that you're interested in, a lot of times they will require the SAT-2 for you. And again, they're not administered all the time. October, November, December, February, March, May, and June. Each year, that's it. One time. Normally the first Saturday of every month. Or the first Saturday of these months, I'm sorry. So you have to plan these things. So they're offered at the same time that the SATs are offered. So you have to plan that you need to take 2 to 3 SATs before you graduate. And then you have to take 2 SAT-2s. And you most likely have to do it between junior year and the year that you're going to start applying, which is in October of your senior year. So you really have to time these things appropriately so that you can be successful and be able to, get the most bang for your buck. Okay, PSATs we talked about. ACT. What's the difference between SAT and ACT? Math? Okay. Good try. Science. ACT offers science, less English, and a science category. SAT has no science. SAT is just math and English. ACT, math, science, and English, less English. Okay? So if you're more math and science inclined, you would take the ACT. If you're more English, you can't run away from math. More English and math, then you take the SAT. Colleges look at them equally. So whatever you decide to take, it's the same in the eyes of the colleges, with the exception of some of the 7-year medical school programs in some states, like in New York, there's some universities like Stony Brook University or something like that. They don't want the ACT for that specific program. They want the SAT. But 95% of universities look at them equally. It's only these little exceptions. And if you really wanted to go to a specific program, you would also look at that program to make sure they didn't have other exceptions. Okay? Something that you should also know, math. It tests up to trig. It has science charts, experiments. It has 4 passages: prose, fiction, social science, humanities, natural science, English. It stresses a lot of grammar. I'm going to check my time too. I'm sorry.
We started late.
You started late, okay. So you see the material that they have to cover, so you want to make sure that they're comfortable with these type of things before they take it. I'm going to skip plan and explore because they don't do it most schools here don't do it. It's kind of like the PSAT, SAT suite, but from the ACT perspective. So I'm going to show you this. Let's see if this works. Bismillah. Okay. Can we see it? No, I don't know how to do this. No. Once I used to be comfortable with technology. People used to come to me for technology, but now I feel it surpassed me. Guess that's what happens when you get old. Okay, so let's see, Bismillah.
I found the application process very stressful because to me it was such a huge step to be taking, and this place that you're going to be devoting 4 years of hard work to, and I really wanted to find a good fit for me. To overcome the stress of the college application process, getting together and working with friends certainly helped a lot. And trying to stay really organized and on top of all of my deadlines, asking teachers well in advance for recommendation letters, and getting all my materials together. I had a big file folder where I kept my transcripts, my SAT and ACT test scores, everything in one place. I think that I learned through the application process for college to really stay determined, and that even when the going gets really tough and it feels impossible to get all of the work done, that if you just break it up into small pieces and you do one thing at a time, you can do it and you can make it work. And I also learned simply to let myself relax a little bit and not be so stressed about it. My mother kept reminding me that it's not the rest of your life.
Okay. So, we're going to take a break, and right after Salah, I'll go through all the admission pieces of what you have to do in high school to be ready for the college application process. There's something that's really critical. You need to create your college portfolio starting in 9th grade, and I'm going to tell you what you need to do to put in it and how to maintain it and how to keep it organized, so that you can, hopefully have the best portfolio when you actually apply. And then in the end, I'll talk to you about the scholarship pieces. But right now, we're gonna take a break for Salah, and we'll come right back. And it won't be that much longer after that, so don't leave thinking it's gonna be forever.